So hold on. Let me
Yeah.
see. Let me see where
Okay.
Yomi is. I can enable his mic so that it doesn't have to go and
Okay.
then come back later.
No problem. Yeah.
So Yomi, can you just raise up your hand so that I can see you on the list and enable your mic for you, please? Okay, thank you, Yomi. So I will enable your mic now. And okay, so you can unmute your mic, Yomi, and speak. I'm also allowing your video too, so that if in case you want us to see your face.
Hello.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. How's it been with the training? Um, I understand we'll have a little restriction within the interaction. So, but I believe we can drop reactions and drop chats on the group. So, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, that is also. Oh, Sas, please, my screen is not enabled.
Let me quickly add promote you. Is Emmanuel Itoje on the call?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Rafiah. Hi, Rafiah. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. We can hear you.
Hi, Rafiah. You're an organizer. Believe you should be able to promote him to presenter.
So I'm trying to do that now. Okay, so I've done that already. Yomi, please try to present your screen again. Yomi?
Okay, yes, I'm doing that actually.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Once again, I don't know if you can see my screen. This camera
Yeah,
it
clear.
doesn't want to turn on. What's happening?
We can see your screen, Yomi.
Okay, I don't know. The camera is going on and off, so we just leave that for now. Okay, so well, welcome to the SharePoint Online training, and SharePoint is a great service within the Microsoft 365 suite of services. And within the next few days or 2 weeks that we have, we're going to discuss this product, and I'll be taking us through on all of that from more of between basic and intermediate, and it's going to be hands-on. So my name again is Aledare Yomi. Just go to the next slide. It talks about me. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, uh, currently providing training in the Microsoft products and services, and also deploying solutions as well. And I have been in the 365 space specifically for over 5 years. I, over the period also, have been able to gain some other certifications along the line. My hobbies are reading, writing, and swimming. And you have my Twitter and LinkedIn profile right there. So I'll share the slide with us after the class. So you may want to, so that means you don't need to probably write anything on the note, but probably you can say what is not on the note. Okay. I don't want to do that because I want to minimize going up and down. So that's why I'm not doing that. If you can see my screen, you can see I'm going to the admin portal and the PowerPoint slide. Okay. So what I can do probably is just close this out. Okay. Is this better?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now I have to be scrolling. So I'm trying to see how I can manage my time. So like I said, the slide, you get it. So what you're more concerned is probably things that I say that is not in the slide. Okay. So, but I'll share the slide with us. The slide is divided into two sections. So you get the slide today after this class, which covers what we'll discuss today and tomorrow. Then next week you get this the slide for next week. Okay, but everything is in this. Okay, so it's not like maybe by next week again you get another 60 pages. This is all the slide. Okay, so about this course, the course is designed in such a way that at the end you are able to sit with the team and plan SharePoint design for an organization, or provide SharePoint solution for an organization. Okay, and quickly we'll go run through the plan. Today one, which is happened to be today, we're going to look at the SharePoint sites. So everything we're going to be doing today is going to be about SharePoint sites. Okay, and then the training plan. So we have the schedule 2 hours per session, and we have been given 4 days to deliver that. So see how we can work within that as well. So we have a total of 6 modules to cover within this period, and these have been divided into the various days that we have. So to start with, what are you going to learn at the end of this 4 days or 2 weeks? You're going to learn about the SharePoint core features. You're going to learn about the various apps in terms of sites, lists, libraries, and the like that SharePoint offers. And also, you're going to learn how you can set up content management or document collaboration within SharePoint, and also implement some security features. I'm also going to look at, on the last day, we'll look at some basic administration, where we'll look at some key features on SharePoint. So quickly, I'm going to module 1. Okay, this is the only module that has a lot of talking. Every other module is just brief and then going on straight to the lab. So this entire training is designed into a brief discussion where we establish the points. Then after the discussion, we have what is called a demo. And after the demo, we have what is called a lab. Okay, so I'll take care of the brief discussion, take care of the demo, but the lab is going to be done by you. Okay, so the lab is going to be done, and it's not going to be done within the training time. Okay, so it's something that after the training you can carry that out, so that you can turn in your deliverable after the training. Okay, so we're going to start with what is SharePoint? What is SharePoint? What is SharePoint? Looking at the word SharePoint, okay, you have share, you have point. Okay, so from the literal meaning, okay, share, it means that it's not something, it's talking about something that is going to involve two or more persons basically. And then points means that it's going to be like a center point or a pivot where everything connects together. So the Microsoft SharePoint is a service uh, designed for organizations to have what we call internal websites. Okay, internal website in the sense that it's not a public, SharePoint is not a public facing website, or you can't build SharePoint website to be public facing. Okay, and it also provides you with the option to create pages. It has apps for document libraries, for lists, and then you also have the option to collaborate on projects, which is one great um, feature that SharePoint provides. And it also has the feature where you can build workflows. Okay, with SharePoint, you can create all of that within SharePoint. Then, of course, a strong key area of SharePoint is document management. This document, of course, because it's hosted on the cloud, can be accessed anywhere. So we're going to look at that as we go on to look at the demo on the various features that SharePoint has. Key features and capabilities, I've mentioned that already in terms of the internet and all of that. So let's look at the differences between SharePoint Online and SharePoint on-premise. Okay, SharePoint Online, SharePoint on-premise. Now, if we have SharePoint Online, it simply means that before now, we also have what is called a SharePoint on-premise. What that simply means is that um, on the SharePoint itself, it could be deployed in two approaches. One is SharePoint Online, which is provided by Microsoft. And then the SharePoint on-premise is an organization decides to set up the server architecture, install the SharePoint application, and it's quite a huge task, and it's something that helps you to know about how the SharePoint system works. One of the things you learn is that SharePoint is largely dependent on database, in the sense that whatever it is you are storing, it also has like a backend where it stores the database. So if you upload a file, it's going to set up a line item or a record item in the database to keep every information about the file, where it's located, the size, who created it. So you have all of that. So when you install a SharePoint on-premise, you're going to need to install an SQL server. You're going to need to install an IIS server and all of that. So it tells you all of that infrastructure that is needed to connect with SharePoint. So number one difference in SharePoint on-premise and SharePoint Online is hosting. SharePoint Online is entirely a Microsoft hosted service, and it resides on the Microsoft cloud, while the on-premise is something that's just within the organization's environment on their server. Then in terms of maintenance, it's managed by Microsoft, that is SharePoint Online, while the on-premise is something that will be managed by the internal IT team. Okay, then we also have other areas like the data storage. Okay, for the online, there are limits to the storage you can have, but for the on-premise, the storage is limitless, usually based on what you have deployed. Okay, and then for cost, okay, the SharePoint on-premise can be expensive in terms of setting up the server. Get a valid SQL server license to install, and then all other. I think you also need to connect it to the internet as well, so that it can be accessed. So you need to set up the domain, okay, and all of that. So all of that, incur costs. And so we are going to look at SharePoint. Everything that we're going to learn in SharePoint Online is also something that can be carried out on the SharePoint on-premise. Then another thing that I want to also look at is SharePoint versus OneDrive. SharePoint versus OneDrive. Now, SharePoint is a service that is hosted by SharePoint Online is a service that is hosted by Microsoft. OneDrive is also a service that is hosted by Microsoft. Now you ask, why do we have two different related service? Okay, simple reason is because SharePoint in itself is a far-reaching service in the sense that it houses the OneDrive service as well. OneDrive, on the other hand, is just a cloud storage service for users to store their files. Okay, but SharePoint uh, adds that feature of allowing users to store their files, share their files, and with that, it also has features for creating internal sites, for building workflows, for collaboration, for setting up document management in particular. Okay, now the question says, should I save to OneDrive or SharePoint? Of course, that is dependent on what you want to achieve. Okay, if you want the file to be private, that means you want to be the one who has access to the file, and more like you want to own the file, then OneDrive becomes your option. Okay, but if you want the file to be accessed by others who are members of that SharePoint, then you may want to save the file in SharePoint. So that's just a basic area in terms of to answer that question. It depends on who, in terms of access you want to give to that file, and in terms of what the level of privacy you also want for the file as well. So when should I use SharePoint and OneDrive? I think that answered that already. Now, subscription and licensing option. I think over the course of the training, we've done a little thing about billing, about the various services and various licenses that exist. If we do not discuss this part, then the SharePoint discussion is not complete, because it's not all licenses or subscription that comes with SharePoint. Okay, so that's why we want to have this conversation on subscription and licensing. Okay, so if you have a tenant that doesn't have SharePoint or OneDrive, it simply means that the account does not have the license requirement. Okay, and in some cases you may get an error if the service or the license that provides the SharePoint service gets disabled. Okay, so if I'm making sense thus far, I would like you to drop a chat on the group before we continue. Okay, okay. I'm seeing some reactions already. Okay, let's continue. So subscription and licensing options. So on my left you have, or rather on the left of the slide, you have standalone plans. What are standalone plans? Standalone plans are plans you can just purchase directly. Okay, and then we have subscriptions that contains other services. So if you look at the table closely, you can see that there is plan 1 and there is plan 2. And of course, having explained SharePoint and OneDrive, you can see that it's possible to have a SharePoint plan or a OneDrive plan. Okay, so for plan 1, that's SharePoint, you have the OneDrive plan 1, you have the SharePoint plan 1. This depends on what service you need. So if you just need personal file storage, then you can just get the OneDrive plan 1. If you want something that also allows you to share files with others or collaborate on documents or set up workflows or content management, then you may want to look at SharePoint plan 1. Okay, now on the right, you have the subscriptions that include these same plans. Okay, so that means the business basic, business standard, and business premium. So I'm going to demonstrate that quickly. I think it's still loading. Where are my licenses? Come on. I don't want to start searching. Okay, I think I need to uncheck that. Let's choose business apps. Okay. So let's look for business. Come on. Okay. I'll just do a search. Okay, let's continue. I don't know. It's not responding. So the business basic, business standard, business premium, the suite of A1, F1, E1 license all comes with OneDrive plan 1. So if you ask a question, what OneDrive or SharePoint plan do you have? Okay, so you may want to look at, does it fall in any of these categories? If it does, then you obviously have one of these. Okay, and then for plan 2, you have the E3, E5, and the like as well. Now, what's different between plan 1 and plan 2? Basically, the difference is in terms of size. Okay, the difference in terms of size. For plan 2, you are guaranteed of 1 terabyte. Okay, 1 terabyte per user. That means each user that has the OneDrive license gets 1 terabyte. And then for SharePoint, also the users get to the tenant itself, the entire tenant itself get to be allocated 1 terabyte of storage, and that applies if you have it the business plan or the enterprise plan. You are given a 1 terabyte storage of SharePoint size, and then you now get additional 10 GB of storage. Okay, so for instance, if you have users like 20, so it means that you're going to get additional 20 times 10, that's 200 GB, in addition to the 1 terabyte you have been given for the SharePoint plan. Okay, so that is just the service. So do you have any question? We are done. I think okay, I didn't start exactly. It's supposed to be for 30 minutes, but I think I didn't start exactly 8 o'clock, but that's fine. So do you have any question? We are done with the um, theoretical foundation. We want to go to the practical. So if you have a question, drop it in the chat, and then we'll quickly address it before we move on. Thank you. So we want to go to our demo session. Okay, so we just want to play around the SharePoint and OneDrive services, looking at a few things. Okay, so log into Microsoft 365, review the app launcher, navigate to OneDrive and SharePoint. So let's start with that. And so I'll
We have a few questions in the chat.
okay. So so that thing, that question you have raised, it has a condition to it. So if your subscription expires, okay, you already understand that subscription expiration, after it expires, you have 30 days, right? So it means that at that 30 days, your subscription has expired, but the service is not disabled. Okay, so that is one part. So if you want to say what happens to your personal file after expiration of the subscription. So after expiration of the subscription, 30 days after expiration, nothing happens to your file. Okay, so that's one, because of the ingress period that you have. Then what happens immediately after the 30 days elapse? Okay, so after the 30 days, you also have another additional 30 days whereby the subscription is disabled. That means you can't access the service, but your file is still there. Okay, so that means I'm talking about the second 30 days now, whereby you can't access the file, but it's still there. Okay, that's another 30 days. After that 30 days, your file gets deleted. Like you even see that there's a link. Okay, like if you go to, I don't have any file, but if you go to let's say office.com, you get to see some recent files that you worked on. Okay, so even if the link is there, you click on it, it will return a 404 error. Okay, because the file has been deleted. Okay, at that point, subscription is at the deprovision state. Okay, so I don't know if I've been able to answer that question. SharePoint included in other plans, can it be made private? Or if you want to have a personal store, you still have to go for standalone. Okay, so the standalone plan is basically you don't want Teams, you don't want Exchange. Okay, you just want file storage. Okay, so you may just want to go for those standalone plans. Okay, so that's just the idea. Just like in Exchange, you also have Exchange Plan 1, Exchange Plan 2. The idea is that you don't need the entire service. You just need a particular service. Okay, so that's just the idea on the plan. Yes, it means that SharePoint and OneDrive are dependent. Okay, if you look at my slide, I said something about, or rather, later when you get the slide, I said something that SharePoint houses OneDrive. Okay, SharePoint houses OneDrive. Okay. So so let's use this user here for our activity. No, let me not automatically create it. Let me type a password. It's not strong enough. Like, are you kidding me? What's happening here? That's a strong password. Okay, let me use this. What's happening? Okay. I think I don't have that time, so let's just create a password for us. Okay, so we'll log into that now. What is my username? Get that. That's strange. This thing is just like, how is that password not strong? Interesting. Okay, let's allow that to load. Okay, so on the office.com homepage, if you click on the app launcher, you will see the icon for OneDrive and the icon for SharePoint. Okay, so our task is very basic. We want to, what is this guy doing here now? So our task is very simple. We want to look at the OneDrive and SharePoint, and then we're going to make some changes in the dev profile. Then we're going to see how we can upload a file and then sync the OneDrive to PC. Just a basic task for that user. Okay. So let's go back to that account that I have signed in. Okay. So I'll click on my OneDrive. Okay, so this is a new user. There are no files. So if I go to my files, I will be able to see the file directory for this user. And the task we have is to create, to add a file. So let's do that quickly. Click on add. I hope I have file on this. Okay, I have something. Okay, so basically that's how you upload files here. Okay, then another option is you can just, if you have the file maybe on the desktop, I don't know if I have anything there. Sorry, how can I, why is this guy stuck here? Come on. Distraction. Okay. So you can just drag. Okay, so that's another way you can upload file to the OneDrive. And to open any of the file, you don't need to double click. Just click. And then I think in Google you may need to double click, but here just click on the file and then you're in. Okay. Then another thing we want to look at is the SharePoint. So if I click here again, I click on SharePoint, and it opens the SharePoint homepage. Okay, so this is more like the SharePoint homepage, where you can see your okay, so there are no sites yet, which we're going to look at quickly. This time is running. Okay, now the next task, we are to update the delve for this user. Okay, so how do we do that? Just click on this here. Okay, and what should we add? I love SharePoint. So this is Miss Adele updating her about page on Delve. Is it saved? What's happening? Okay, that's saved. Okay. So if I go to the other accounts, I should be able to see that about that user. It's just something basic for that user. We just want to see. Okay, so I have some users listed here already in my organization. And okay, so I have just click on this user, view profile. Okay, so you can see what this user just added here. I love SharePoint. Okay, so that's just the Delve service for you. Then lastly, in this section, let's look at syncing. I don't know if I have OneDrive on this. So Dev. So if I go to settings here, then on the settings, I have the OneDrive settings restore, which we're going to look at as we go on. But what our focus here is just to sync this OneDrive. What's the work of syncing? Okay, syncing is that you want to set up a connection with your PC and your files on the cloud. such that if you make a change on the PC in that particular location, then as long as there's internet, it gets uploaded to the cloud. And if there's no internet, whenever the internet is available, it gets uploaded to the cloud. And if you make any change on the cloud, it gets downloaded to the PC. Okay, so to do that, user will log into their OneDrive and then click on the settings here and then click on this sync this OneDrive. So if I click on that now, and let's see if I have OneDrive installed, click on open. Okay, luckily for me, I have OneDrive installed. Go through what? Someone said I should go through this again. I believe this is being recorded, so you can, yeah, so you can watch it because the time is not on our side. It's recorded and then the slide will be shared. What's the password? Low button. Okay, so it says just sign into the app. So once this is completed, it's going to give me some options. So for instance, it's asking me where I want the folder to be. That is where it's going to create a folder on your PC to store your OneDrive. So at any point you can change the location. Maybe you want it to be on the maybe in download. Okay, you can do that. Now, one thing here is that you can maybe connect your flash drive, okay, and say you now choose your flash drive. You are creating serious trouble, okay, or maybe an external drive, okay, because OneDrive continues to run. It connects to the cloud, and that connection. So you don't want it to be on a drive that is not on the PC, because if it gets disconnected, a lot of things can go wrong. So make sure that the folder is on the PC. Okay, then just click on every that thing, just next. Okay, okay, so this is for setting up backup. I do not want to backup, but if you want to set up backup, that means OneDrive is going to back up your document folder, your pictures folder, and your desktop. Okay, but I don't want to do this. I'll just turn all of that off. Okay, and just click on next. But if you want to maybe just back up the pictures folder, you can just check on that, and then next. I think everything is just next, and then you are done. Open my OneDrive folder. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so this is my OneDrive folder on this PC. Okay, you can see, what is this? It's not the name of my company. Let's confirm. Is that the name? Okay, no. Okay, interesting. I probably named it. That was not the name. So, but basically, okay, so that's where it gets the name from. Okay, so for instance, you could sync your OneDrive and you see a name. Okay, so this is where it's picking that name from. That name you saw uh, on the OneDrive path. Where is it again? Okay, so this name here is picking that from that particular location. So and it can be changed, but not from here. You have to change it from the cloud and then start the sync again. Okay, but basically we have our OneDrive here already set up and connected, so we can see all the folders we have in the cloud, and then we can carry out some steps. And then you have the various icons here. This icon simply means that this file is not on this PC at the moment. The file is currently on the cloud. Okay, it's currently on the cloud. So it means that I can only access the file if I'm connected to the internet. So I'll just double click on it to download the file. Okay, I just needed to just download the file. Okay, so it's it has done that. The reason why it's doing that is because there's no I don't have Excel on this. I don't think I have a CSV. Okay, so but you can see the check has changed from cloud to green. All that means that this file is available on this PC and do not need the internet connection to access them. Okay, and I can also right click here and create a file. I need to install Office on this VM. There's 21, enter. Okay, so I just created this file on the PC. Okay, so let's confirm that we have it on the cloud. So if I go to OneDrive of this user, we should be able to see that here. Okay, did you create it inside this? Okay, so we have it here. A moment, please. Okay, so you can see that it's uploaded and tells us the time the file came in and who brought in the file. Then we get to see the file size. There's nothing inside yet, so it's blank. Then sharing is private, meaning that the file has not been shared with anyone. Okay, so we'll stop here on the OneDrive. There are still other things we'll look at, but we have been able to demonstrate how you can upload files to your OneDrive, how you can sync your OneDrive to your PC, and where the name, where this name comes from in your OneDrive when you connect it to the PC. Okay, in case you are seeing UB Nigeria Limited, that means the account is or the business is a UBA business and the like. Okay, so we'll move on quickly to the last part, which is the I think we have been able to upload file login, all of that. So we couldn't do this because I don't know. I was not seeing the subscription in my marketplace. I don't know. Yeah, it's not there. Okay. So the last thing I want to look at now is the SharePoint sharing settings. So we're moving on to the SharePoint admin, and we're going to discuss more on that as we go along. But basically, we just want to look at something that's very important, which is the sharing settings. The sharing settings controls everything on SharePoint and OneDrive. So we want to see that. Wait, have I not opened here before? That's interesting. So on the SharePoint admin, okay, how did I come here? From the admin portal, in the list of admin, you have SharePoint. So the SharePoint admin, and that is your admin portal where you can configure settings that affect both SharePoint and OneDrive. Okay, this is not what we're going to do today, but I think on the final day, we're going to look at some other features and settings. We want to just look at the sharing settings. So this is open now. If I go to active sites, I'm going to see sites that already exist on this account. Okay, I think we have a few sites already. Okay, so we have a few sites already, and if I go to policies and then sharing, now it says external sharing. Content can be shared with, okay? So these are the various categories of people. So if I, for instance, I'd say, okay, my users are not being careful with their files, and I can say, okay, I drag this down. What is the implication of this? Okay, so you can see SharePoint, OneDrive, least permissive, most permissive. Okay, talking about the permissions available. So the most permissive, you have anyone. At the least permissive, you have only people in your organization. What's the implication of this? Once I click on save, which I'm going to demonstrate, it means that your users will not be able to share files in their OneDrive to an existing guest or an external guest, and they also will not see the anyone with the link option. Okay, so I won't dwell more on this because we're going to look at it in a later detail, but I just want to show us something briefly here, which affects your SharePoint and OneDrive. But in this case, I've only set this to affect OneDrive. My SharePoint still has anyone with, so files in the SharePoint will work. The beginning of this is that if a user goes to SharePoint, they can share with anyone, but files on their OneDrive, okay, it should just be only locked to people in the organization. So, and SharePoint for settings is usually very fast. So if I save, I don't need to give it 2 hours or wait till tomorrow. So it's saved. Let's see if that is updated for this user. Okay, so if you don't have access to the SharePoint admin, it means that you don't have the admin role. Okay, I believe you are taking through the various admin roles, Exchange admin, user admin, and all of that. So every admin portal has their roles. Okay, so if you don't have access to it, it means that you have not been given that permission. So you get that sorted. Okay, so not to worry, just follow along. Okay, so that we can be on the same page. So if I click on share here, okay, want to see if that is affecting this site. Okay, so let me put in a Gmail, which is an external account. Let me use another Gmail or another user. What is this? Okay, it's an external account. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so you can see this red icon says you can only share within the organization. What is causing this? The setting that we just made. Okay, so that's just a brief. I just want to show us on external sharing. Okay, on external sharing. Okay, but as we go on, we're going to look at it in much broader details. Okay, we're going to look at it in much broader details as we go on. Okay, but for now, that is where we want to stop. Okay, we're trying to manage our time so that we can achieve something worthwhile. So module 2, the same approach, we're going to look at establish some theoretical foundation, and then we'll go on to do the demo, and then you have the lab. Okay, so let's do that right away. Site, I believe we are familiar with site. When you hear the word site, incorrect from a lot of us. So for that, you can save files to OneDrive. I don't think the issue is with file format. The issue is more of the file name. Okay, if except because you can also the admin can also configure file format that are supported. So if that is not the case, that an admin has not previously configured a file, the file format that are supported on the tenants, okay, you can upload any file to your OneDrive. It's your file, so it doesn't tell you what format to use if it had not been previously configured. You put in your file. The only thing is concerned with that is the naming. Okay, some characters that can create. I said that when you're deploying on premise, it's there's an SQL server. So some of this naming, when you send them to SQL server, it can disrupt the SQL server database. So to prevent that, there's what is called a naming convention. Okay, which probably I'll get us a link for that and share so that you can read that up. So sites, okay, we are familiar with websites. Okay, some of us might have probably visited websites. Okay, so it's not far from that when we say sites. Okay, the only difference is that in this discussion, our focus is that these sites are internal. Okay, SharePoint does not provide a public facing web website service. Okay, for instance, somebody meets you and say, or a company employee and say, okay, your first task is to make sure that this our SharePoint site can be accessed by our customers or by all users or by anyone. That is not something that is possible. Okay, that's not that is possible. So we look at creating sites, templates, and all of that as we go along. Now, one interesting thing that you need to understand in SharePoint is the structure. Very important. Okay, very important. We're talking about sites. Okay, so the structure has to have to comprehend everything about SharePoint. From this diagram, can we have a list that is not in a site? The answer is no. Okay, the answer is no. Somebody is asking a question. I think I've answered that question. That the admin can configure file formats that should be uploaded to the tenant's SharePoint or OneDrive. Okay. So everything has to be configuration. We'll look at that on the last day. We just play around all of that. Okay. So a list cannot exist without a site. A page cannot exist without a site. A document library cannot exist without a. So at the top level of the SharePoint structure is what is called a site. Okay, a site. Within that site, you have subsites, document library, and a list. So for instance, now, if I ask you create a list, create a document library, what you should be asking is where or which site should this be created in? Okay, because you can't start going to your SharePoint admin and looking for where to create a list or where to create a document library. You won't see that. Okay, so then within your site, you could have subsites. The subsite could also have the same apps, subsites, document library, list, and site pages. Then we have what is called site collection. Okay, so all those things that I've just mentioned earlier is what we put together to refer to as a site collection. Okay, maybe we have had the word site collection. So a site collection contains all those things that I've talked about previously. Okay, then in SharePoint, you have what is called the classic versus the modern. Okay, classic is an old um, template, okay, that resembles the on-premise SharePoint design. Modern is something that Microsoft brought in for SharePoint Online. Okay, for SharePoint Online. I don't have released a new SharePoint server to include the modern. I think the last server for SharePoint was 2016 that I worked on. I have not followed up to know if there's any SharePoint server, and that was purely classic. There was no modern feature in it. So we're going to look at this as we go on. So there's no point to dwell much on that. So, but if you look at this two screen, you have on the left is a classic site, on the right is a modern site. So our focus will be, of course, on the modern site. Okay. Then Microsoft 365 group. Why do I have this as the heading? So Microsoft 365 group, well, we have been taking through that already. So we'll just skip that. Then, but our focus will be on SharePoint groups. SharePoint has its own group. The interesting thing that, or the you like all this interesting thing now. Okay, one thing about the SharePoint group is that it's not visible elsewhere. SharePoint groups cannot be seen on the admin portal or uh, or Entra portal or Exchange or anywhere. Okay, but your Office, your Microsoft 365 group, you can see them here. When you go to where is that now? When you go to groups, teams and groups, you click on active groups, you can see your Microsoft 365 here. In fact, all the groups are visible here. And you can also see them in your Entra portal as well. But for SharePoint groups, they only reside or remain within SharePoint. The SharePoint groups help to define permission levels. Okay, I don't want to bother us with that for now, but we're going to discuss that as we go along. Okay, then also there what is called access denied. When you see an access denied error, it simply means that you do not have access to that site. An admin can have access denied to his site. Is not abnormal. It simply means that that admin, though you have access to everything, you don't have a permission to that site. Okay, so we're going to look at all of this as we go on. I don't want us to, because we have a lot to cover and the time is just running. Then SharePoint templates. Okay, so we're going to, in our first, we're going to create a site with a template, and then we'll create another site without templates, just to demonstrate all everything. SharePoint template is just like your website template. Okay, that means it comes with pictures, it comes with text, it comes with some things, so you can just be changing them as you want. Okay, so that's just a SharePoint template. It comes with all of those things that you want for your site. Okay, so without wasting much of our time, let's go straight to the demo. Do I have any question before we start the demo? Okay, so if you're asking for that is not something I can answer. So meet the organization and they will provide you with answer to that. Okay, so policies are there for various reasons. Okay, so you may want to reach out to them to get information about that. Okay, so this from the SharePoint start page, you can create a site. Okay, you can create a site from the SharePoint start page. Let's see that quickly. So if I click here, click on my 9 dots and then click on SharePoint, it opens the start page, or rather the SharePoint start page. And then you have the option to create sites. Okay, this you may not have that having your environment. It may have been blocked. Okay, I will show us that setting in the admin portal where I think we have there are a lot of settings. Somebody should be noting these things down. Okay, just in case it's skipped. Okay, but in our last class, we're going to demonstrate the administration in terms of various settings and what they affect. Okay, so just note them down in case I omit that. So number one is the sharing. So we're going to discuss more on the sharing. Okay, so we're going to look at the sharing administration settings. We're going to look at also if you want to set limits to the SharePoint size. Maybe you want is maybe the HR department decides to hold your money and you want to do them strong things. So you give them a 10 gig of storage for their SharePoint site. So you can limit SharePoint storage for specific sites. Okay, so we'll see that. Then if you want to prevent users from creating sites, and then somebody talks about file upload. Okay, maybe you want to specify what files should be allowed. You can also look at that as well. So let's click on create site. Okay, so this is not an admin, this is a user. Okay, and this is just one way we want to look at. We're going to look at the other methods. Okay, so say select a site, select the site type. So I have team site, I have communication site. What is the difference? From the name team site, it is designed for collaboration, maybe for teams. Okay, maybe you have an offshore team, or you have a marketing team, or you have a sales team. Okay, you want to consider a team site. Communication site is designed for a broader audience. That you want to come up with a site for the entire organization, or for the entire branch, or for an entire branch. Then you may want to look at a communication site. Okay, so that is just so we'll go for the team site. Then it says select a template. Okay, for my organization, I don't have a template yet, so it doesn't show me anything. But from Microsoft, I have standard team, which is just the normal blank. Okay, I have some templates here: crisis communication, employee onboarding, event planning. So you can just choose any of these templates and it's going to use that to create. So let's use a training design team. Okay, training design team, and then click on no. Okay, let's continue. So tomorrow we're going to now expand on how to. Okay, yeah, I think I wanted to, I thought I've missed it. I've jumped ahead rather. Okay, so the template will show us the various components. Then tomorrow's class, we're going to look at web pages and web path, where we're going to, set up everything from scratch. Okay, we're going to create a blank site and then, put in all the slide, navigation, name it. Okay, so but today we just want to look at how we can add a site. So I'll click on use template. This is a user creating a team site. Okay, so the site name, of course, is M365 training team. Okay, description is optional, but I can just copy that and paste. What is happening? Who is hacking my system? Then the group email, okay, it uses the name and removes all the spaces to set as the group email. And then this is the site address. Okay, the site address. Okay, so we're going to look at URL. When you are working with SharePoint or OneDrive, you need to be very attuned to the URL. Like you need to focus on the URL. Very important, because it tells you where you are. It tells you also what is wrong if you're having a challenge. Okay, so it contains some useful information when you are working with SharePoint. So we want to stick with this name, so just click on next. Then the privacy settings, okay, privacy, public, anyone in the organization can access the site. Private, only members can access the site. So let's just, because this is a user, so the user does not want it public, so you probably creating a private site that she can manage. Okay, then you can see select the language. Of course, it's going to be an English site, and then click on create site. Okay, so while the site is being created, it gives the user an option to add members. So the user has some members that you like to add to the site. Okay, maybe the accountant, I don't even know, I think the CEO as well, president, and one more person. Okay, so these are the members of this site. Click on finish. The site is already created already, and just adding members. So that has been loaded to us for us. Just close that out, close that out. Okay, so this is how you create a site, and this is by or from a user perspective. Now, as an admin, how do you create a site? Okay, so if I go to active sites, I have the create. This is the an admin, SharePoint admin. Now the other one is just from a user. Okay, there are some organization or tenant that creation might be blocked for users. Okay, but I just said show us that the user can also create a site. Okay, then of course I didn't show us. Okay, so if we click on, okay, we should be able to even see our site here. Okay, look at the site the user just created, MT65 training team. Okay, it shows me that the site is not connected to Teams. There are no channel sites yet. The storage, of course, is empty, and then group owners. And if I drag this, I should be able to see other information of the site. Okay, the template of the site is team site. the date it was created, last activity recorded, created by the owner, Microsoft 365 group, yes. So that means if I go to the admin portal, I'm going to see, let me refresh this. I'm going to see a group. Okay, you can see I'm going to see a group for that site. Okay, then there are no files. Okay, so that's just that. So all sites that are created are visible here. Okay, all sites created are visible here. And as an admin, say, who has this girl to create a site? So I can just do like this, and then look for this guy here, and then okay, you can see it. Just hit it, and the site is gone. So you can see this site belongs to MT5 Microsoft 365 group, linked to a group. Deleting the site will delete the group and all its resources, including Outlook. Okay, so says you can restore it within 30 days. So that is being deleted and has been deleted. Okay, so you can see that there's a connection with all these services. Okay, you have your site, your team, your group, and your Outlook email for that group. So if you delete the site, it's going to delete everything that's connected to it. So that's how that works. So by deleting now, if this user tries to access the site, we start getting that interesting error. Can you see that? 404 file not found. Like I said earlier, SharePoint does not need you to go and sleep and wake up before you see your changes updated. 404 file not. So whenever I see this 404, 404 is 404 file not found. Okay, it's panic mode activated. Okay, so back here, the admin can now say, okay, I want to create the site correctly. So click on create, and then the admin has the same options with some more features here. Browse, you can see the user did not have, they want to browse, to use all of that, migration manager and all of that. So I go to browse more sites, okay, I can see some more templates here, a document center, an enterprise wiki. These are all templates, okay, and they have their experience. So if I click on more templates here, then it's going to allow me to add. I don't want to do that now. So you have the team sites. I don't want to do this now. Okay. So you have the team site, you have the document center, enterprise. So these are all templates, and they all have their own experience in terms of configuration. Okay, in terms of also behavior. Okay, so when you want to create a site, you need to know ahead what that site is going to do. Team site, of course, does everything for you. Documents center is, of course, from the name, is something that has to do with documents, where features like upload restriction, check-ins, all of those things will already be added to it. Enterprise wiki, you can create an enterprise-wide wiki site, of course, for notes. You have a publishing portal as well. You have a content center. Okay, more templates is where it allows you to create a classic site, which you are going to come back to later. Okay, so team site. So I'm just showing you that the admin has more ability. Okay, and then I can click on this is 5 training team. Okay, MT5 training team. Okay, so if I copy that, okay, the same name, same name. But if you come to the site address, it says this site address is available with modification. Okay, so you can see it has added 2 to it. Why is that so? Okay, why is that so? Because somebody already created a site that had used this URL, and because the site has not been completely deleted, it reserved the name. Because you may change your mind that, okay, maybe the president said, admin, why did you delete that site? I asked the user to create it and you want to restore it back. So that this can now be a problem. So that's why that is preserved and you can always access it at any time. Okay. Then who is going to be the primary? So you can see this becomes very flexible. So you can add your name, okay, so that you can also be able to administer it. Or you can say, okay, I'm creating this for advance. So that is the primary administrator. Next. Okay, so you can see, I believe you can see that for the admin, the admin has more options in terms of configuration. You can see I have the option to choose a time zone. Okay, so if for instance, if your document library is showing you just uploaded a file and it's showing the wrong time, okay, you may want to look at the time zone for that SharePoint. Might be different. So I'm going to stick with this. Creating site. Okay, so that is created. This is it. So if I click on this here, it opens the site for me. Bam. Bam. But I'm the one that created this site and it says you need permission. Don't you think we need to sue Microsoft for this? Guys, don't you think we need to sue Microsoft? I created the site myself and it's telling me you need permission to access the site. So what do you think is happening here? Anybody? Drop it in the chat. Thank you. Yes, that's it. When I was creating the site, I said Adele should be the admin. If I copy this now. Let's check if a user, if the bloody user can access the site, but you the admin cannot access it. Oh, I've copied the entire URL. Sorry. So you can see, you can imagine your user can access the site. You who admin, with all your shoulder, you can't access the site because you just made a simple mistake while creating the site. So you can see, so it means that, so if you have a case where a user or admin cannot access a site, it's not abnormal. I think I mentioned that earlier. So to correct this, just to come back to the site, okay, click on the site, okay, you want to time to show your power as the admin, okay, you come to this place here called membership, okay, and you have site admins or owner, anyone will give you permission, okay, just add yourself there. That's why you are the admin. Just add yourself there, and then power has changed hands. Close. I come back now. Let's remove the access denied, blah blah blah. So you can see now, yeah, I've taken over. So I have access to the site. Okay. So that is the admin. That's why you have you can carry the shoulder. So even though the admin before now does not have access, the admin can give himself access. So if an admin does not have an access to his site, it's not abnormal. Okay. It's not abnormal if an admin does not have access to his site. The admin can at any time give himself or herself access to that site. Okay, and then you can see what is it called? You can see my storage. Okay, earlier I talked about this SharePoint storage. Okay, so I have 1 TB and then 240 gig. That 240 gig is because of the number of license that I have or users. Okay, so I think I have about 25 or so. So that gave me that additional 240 GB of storage. Okay, so one last thing we want to look at is to change the theme and look for a site. Okay, to change the theme and look for a site. So to do that, the president has sent an email to you as the admin, or probably giving you a query that you should reinstate the site that you deleted. Okay, so of course you tell the user, the resident, this will be done in the next 5 minutes. Then you fold your sleeves and you log into your SharePoint admin portal. You go to deleted sites. Mind you, sites are retained for 93 days and then permanently deleted. I think that's fair enough. Okay, so if that instruction came after 93 days, maybe your CEO went on a 3 months vacation, and when he came back on the 90th day, sent you an email to restore the site, you ignore the email, and then on the 4th day, sorry, I'm laughing, and on the 4th day, you want to come here and restore the site. All the best in your restoring. But lucky for us, we just deleted this now. So if I click on the site, I have a restore option. Okay, I have a restore option. So I'll just click on restore. And then it says this site connected to Microsoft 5, the same thing. So all of them will be connected back. Okay, so we don't have anything to show here, of course. So if I go back, I have my, where is the site? I have my training site. So I can open it and then, okay, sorry, I didn't give the admin permission. So the next instruction in that email is after you restore the site, change the color. Come on, I kept opening the site. Change the color to something else. So that is the task of the admin. So you give yourself, though you're not the one that created it, but you have access to the site, you have restored the site, and now you want to carry out the next task, which is we are asked to modify the site color. So how do you do that? You can't do that from here. There's no option to do that here. So you open the site itself. Okay, so once you open the site itself, you look for like this gear. You just look for it. It gives you various options. Okay. So our focus is here. Change the look. Change the look. Okay, so I'll click on change the look. Okay, I'll go to team, and I was asked to change it to something blue in nature. So I'll click on blue and then save. It's taking its time. Okay, so that has been saved now. Then let's make other changes to the header as well. Okay, let's um, let's have a standard header that can be much more bigger. Then we can add a site logo. I don't want us to do this. We'll do that tomorrow. Where we'll, pieces everything and change all the changeables. Okay, but it's basically what I've been asked to do. Now, after doing this, now the president comes back to you and say, why am I having the site showing all of these upcoming events, showing all of these links about form? Why are you showing all of this? Are you showing all of this? Okay, so what do? Okay, you come back here and just apply a site template. Okay, so maybe the president have asked that this site is about retailing or some other things. What's happening? It's not opening my templates. Like seriously, that got me scared. Maybe Microsoft have blocked my tenants. Okay, so where is that? Okay, so retail and use templates, and then you tell your manager or your president, consider it done, or please check, and then probably you get a bonus. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of today's class. Okay, so it's time for, I think, let me see. We didn't do create site. Okay, we're going to look at that tomorrow. We're going to look at that tomorrow, where we're going to look at web paths and web pages. So this is going to be some serious, what is it called? Digging. And I don't want you to miss it. So I think with that, we can take question. I think my Q&A. So this is your lab. When you get the manual, or rather the slide, you go through it. Make sure you do this lab. Okay. This is for lab 1 and 2.
Thank you so much, Yomi.
Okay. Thank you, Rafiah.
Continue, please continue. Yeah. Okay, is this all the lab? Just lab 1 and 2? Is that what you have for them?
Yeah, that's just more like what is it called? Appetizer.
Okay,
as
okay.
it goes on, it's going to get
You get
interesting.
nice one. Thank you so much for this beautiful class. Really appreciate your time, and I think the mentees have learned a lot. Though initially, I think I saw their messages saying that you were quite fast, or some of them were lost. But just like we used to say, you can't get everything at once, right? But as you get to practice each class, you go back to the recordings, you take your notes, you ask questions, definitely you did understand. You would fully understand everything, right? So make sure you always go back and practice whatever you taught in class. You can also reach out, give us license. Okay, yeah, I think this would be a good time for me to also differentiate or explain to you the difference between a license and an admin role. Thank you so much, Yomi, for that. We really appreciate. I'll be taking some questions, but before I proceed, yeah, this is just a tip of the iceberg. Yeah, this is just a tip. You guys have just started. Yomi will be taking you fully. Yomi is an SME in SharePoint, so be rest assured that is going to be here to give you everything you need to know. So as for those that don't have access to the SharePoint Admin Center, please take note that having a license is different from having an admin role. Take note of this, please. Having a license gives you access to the M365 resources, right? Or having a license allows for you to be able to use Teams, able to having a license will give you a mailbox. Are you getting my point now? These are the things having a license will do for you. Having a license would allow you to be able to use OneDrive. Having a license would allow you to be able to use Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, right? This is what a license does for you. So without a license, you will not have a mailbox. Without a Teams license, you'll not be able to make use of Teams. So, but when you talk of admin role, license gives you access to the services. Thank you. It gives you it gives you access to the services and to the applications, the Microsoft 365 applications, the likes of Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. This is what license does, the apps, right? But when it comes to role, having access to the admin center, that is when you're talking about admin role. So you must have admin role, SharePoint admin role, Teams admin role, Exchange admin role, security admin role, compliance admin role. So once you sign into the Office 365, once you sign into your Microsoft 365 tenant, by your left hand side, you see all the admin centers there. Irrespective of whether you have a license or not, if you must have a admin role before you can have access to those admin centers. So please take note. If you still don't understand, please read. It's very good that you read on your own. Go and check what's the difference between a license, what's the difference between admin roles, because I see most of you mixing it up. I don't have license, that's why I can't access the SharePoint admin center. No, it's not about the license, it's about you having the right admin role. So now going to the SharePoint questions for today, I think we have quite a number of them. How do we get the roles now to practice? Majority of you have the roles. Some of you, you are still telling me that you don't have roles. You have roles, maybe because you don't know what the roles are. Yomi, please show us all the admin centers in your M365 tenant. Please let them see. Some of you have these roles, but you still keep saying you don't have the roles. You have them. So when you check, you see the admin icon by your left hand side. Click on it. We've told you that if you sign in to the M365, where is the lab going to be submitted, sir? Also, are we meant to choose one admin role, or we can choose just one? Okay. So now, if you are a global admin, you have access to all the admin centers, right? Now, for you guys, we didn't give you global admin, but even at that, the only admin center you don't have access to is the endpoint manager and identity. And that's because we're not, no, endpoint manager, I think it's just the endpoint manager, and that's because we're not covering that in this program. But you see security, compliance, Yomi is showing you his screen already. Those are the admin centers: security, compliance, identity, exchange, SharePoint, and Teams. So you do have admin center to security, compliance, exchange, SharePoint, and Teams. So check your own check your M365 tenant now. Check your it was showing access denied. Okay. So for some of you, you might not have just a few of you might not have access to SharePoint and Teams, but we're going to update that and give you those admin access. For it to show you that access denied, that means you don't have. So we're going to give them to you. But for majority of you, you do have that. So that's that about admin center or access or admin role. So going to the SPO questions for today. Okay, not to worry, please. Joseph Aderoju, Joseph, we're going to check that and make sure you all have access to the SharePoint Admin Center. So sorry for that. We'll have everything updated tomorrow. And those that are yet to fill the form for tenant account creation, please fill the form, because after tomorrow we are not going to create any other tenant account till next year. Please take note. If you don't have the M365 tenant account created, please fill the form. Check the WhatsApp group. You see the form there. Fill it, because after tomorrow we will not create any other account for you till next year. So that's that. So coming to the SPO questions. hmm, Is there a way to put a site on preview mode as the creator? Hello,
What do
Yomi.
you? Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
What do you mean by preview mode? I need to know what's.
Clarity about
I
that,
need that
right?
clarity. When you say preview, are you saying that users should access it and not be able to make changes?
Mm,
Or what do you mean by
Mode. Okay. Who
preview
asked
mode?
that question? Seem to have missed that. Okay, that's Temitope Giwa. Temitope Giwa, are you here?
Okay. Yes. If it's that, it's not a preview mode. It's more like you have read only. So just give the user a read only permission, and that option will not be editable. So once a user has edit right to a site, of course they can edit the web parts. But if you don't want them to be able to edit, then you may need to give them a read only permission. We'll look at that next week. That's when we're going to discuss permissions. We'll scatter everything about permissions so that so you're going to see that next week.
Okay. So I think tomorrow too, I understand. I don't know, Anioke Kelechi Ifedayo. I want to believe now you know how to create sites, right? So Yomi is going to give you guys a brief introduction tomorrow again on about SharePoint sites, how to create sites and how to delete sites, and how you manage
Yeah.
sites tomorrow before he deep dives continues with the session. So make sure you join the class early so you don't miss out on the summary of what he taught today, right? He's going to give you a revision tomorrow before he takes his next class. So make sure you join the class early. But I believe you now know what active sites are and how to create one. Now, I think the next question would be, okay, make sure you take your labs. Make sure you take your labs. Can we use SharePoint site to create a leave approval form?
Yes, I've answered that. The answer is
Okay, you've
yes.
answered that already. Okay. So,
In we're
why
going to look
somebody
at
is
that
saying
next week.
next week? Okay,
We'll
then.
look at content approval. So you can use that content approval approach to do something like that for leave
Okay.
approval.
So somebody else is asking, why was the permanently delete option graded out? Like, why is it graded out? Can you remember that part when you were taking the class?
Okay, so the permanent deleted is graded out because that site, okay, it's one item of the entire service. So you're trying to permanently delete a site that had, I went to the admin portal, I showed us that it has a group, it has Outlook. Some sites could even have Teams. So if you permanently delete from SharePoint, that's 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 I don't know how to put it. That's a catastrophe. So that's why that option is not available. So, however, to delete a site permanently, just go and delete the group itself. You can delete the group itself permanently, which will automatically also delete the site, delete the group, delete the calendar, delete every other thing. So I'm going to show you by creating a site that is not connected to any group or a classic site. I don't think if I have that. So that type of site you can easily permanently delete because it's not connected to any uh any service. This one is no. Which site is this? Okay, I can use this one now. It's not connected. Does it make sense? Can you see that it's not grayed out? The answer is, the reason is why, because of this. Okay. Microsoft 365 group, no. Okay, so I'll delete the other one again just um for clarity. Okay, so look at that part of Microsoft 365. One is yes, one is no, but they are both team sites. Okay, so this one that has yes, it means that I can't permanently delete. This one that has no, I can permanently delete. Okay, so the thing is that this site here is just like the leg of the entire body. There is the hand. I want to delete the leg. Okay, so that's why it's not available. Okay, so the group itself, which is in on the admin portal here, if you yank it out, you can, I think you need to even permanently delete in Entra. Okay, that's when you delete in Entra to delete the group, to delete the site, and everything. Even if you restore the site, you delete it, it will delete it automatically to keep deleting it. Okay, because it's linked to that group. Okay, I hope I've been able to. I was thinking I'll do it next week, but I think it's answered for us now.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So they said when you create a team site, it creates a mailbox. Does it take up license on the tenant?
No.
Okay. So when you create a team site, it creates a mailbox. Does it take up license on the tenant? The answer is no, Kingsley. So is it okay? I think you might have answered this question. For the SharePoint site, is it possible to add a group instead of adding members individually?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can add
Okay. So
security group.
Tara,
You can add Microsoft 365 group.
you can add a group instead of adding members individually to a site. So now the next question will be, yes, we're going to give you your SharePoint admin access before tomorrow's class. Help us to attend to this question. Okay. Sorry. Is it possible for an admin to give his or herself permission on the site a user created?
This person, did the person watch this video?
Or
That
was the
question
person in
sound
class,
that question sound
right?
like, I think we have answered that by this the answer is yes though, but we have answered that. I think I demonstrated that already.
Okay. So, Said, that question has been answered. Is it possible for an admin to give his or herself permission to the site that a user created? Yes, it is very, very possible. So I think the last question for today would be, sorry. Okay, are you going to introduce Power Automate?
No.
Okay, that's for Power BI, the other class, right? So Yomi is not going to be dealing with Power Automate. It's just going to focus purely on SharePoint Online for this
Yes.
class, right? Purely
Yes.
SharePoint Online. If we're going to do anything Power Automate, that will be next year, God's willing. So thank you so much, Yomi. I know I didn't get to introduce Yomi, so sorry about that. can we have the slide? Yes, Yomi is going to give us the slide and you can go through it. If you have any questions, please send the tenant form to Telegram as well. Okay, I'll drop that tenant form for you on WhatsApp and on Telegram. So thank you so much, Yomi, for that. Before we leave today, Madam Toriola has a message for you. She said, you people, majority of you have actually signed up for the Microsoft Learn. You only signed up. You've not started taking your classes. Why? What are you waiting for? Well, the first week of November has ended already. We're going to the second week, right? So we expect that by the end of the second week, you should have even finished this learning material. So you just signed up. You've not started taking the class. Please, what are you waiting for? Try as much as possible to start so that you can. Please give me a minute. Let me stop the recording. Yeah. So try as much as possible to start taking your classes. Let's say classes, or start reading the material